In this class, we are going to learn how to read the huge BIP report response, what we get with the help of external report WSS service as a data chunk. In our earlier classes, we had seen how to read the huge BIP report by making use of ESS schedule processes, wherein we will be scheduling the BIP report using the ESS schedule process, and it will be bursting the report into FTP server or email or any other place, and our scheduled jobs like our Oracle integration can read the file from the FTP server and it can process the huge file. And this way we can process up to 1 GB of file. Suppose if you tell that we are not comfortable in using the ESS schedule processes, rather is there any other way using the web service itself wherein we can read the huge data file and we can overcome the limit of Oracle integration like 10 MB, 20 MB or 50 MB. If it is a huge file like 100 MB, 200 MB, then there is an option built within the external report WSS SOAP web service that is reading the BIP report data in chunk. So we are going to learn same in this class. I have highlighted the key points over here using which we can achieve this use case. First and the foremost thing is we have to create a data model and the report. I have already created the data model and the report. I will quickly walk you through the data model. I will show you the SQL query. This is a dummy SQL query. Just I am getting the organization ID and the start date from the organization units HR table. So in your case, you could be having a complex query as well. If I look at the view, I'm getting the organization and the start date. And the similar output I'm expecting from the BIP report. If I just click on this open, I have made that the default output response from this report is a CSV data, which is the most preferred format while building any Oracle integration or while reading the data from BIP report using the Oracle integration. But in your case, you could provide the output as a PDF file, Excel file, or any other kind of format files as well. And the use case what we are discussing in this class, that is reading the data in a chunk from a report, it will be applicable to all the kind of file like the text files or the CSV files and even the binary files like Word, Excel and PDF. So this is the first and the foremost thing, we have to have a data model and the report. Next, coming to the second, we have to make use of the same external report WSS service, SOAP web service, and use couple of operations. Run report is the most popular and the favorite operation within this WSS SOAP web service, with the help of which we will get the report response. Now there is a twist how we have to call this run report. The concept over here is when we run this report operation, this time we have to make the size of data chunk as 0. When we tell that size of data chunk download as 0, usually we will be writing the -1, but here in this case we have to tell 0. If it is -1, we will get the entire report data in a base 64 format in the report bytes field in the response. But if it is 0, what Fusion will do is it will upload the file to the UCM server and we will get the file ID in the response instead of report bytes, that is a base 64. So this we will have a reference to that file, that is the file ID. Next, using this file ID, we have to call this download report data chunk operation within the same SOAP web service, and we have to pass the file ID. And then we have to provide the index. Like in first call, the index will be 0, and then we have to tell size. Size here will be in the KB, that is a kilobytes. It could be 500,000 or 50,000. In most of the projects, we will be using the 50,000. That is the most favorable value. In first iteration, the begin index will be 0 and the size will be 50 KB. And in the next iteration, what we will tell is it has downloaded the first 50,000 kilobytes of data. In the second iteration, the begin index will be 50,000 and it has to fetch next kilobyte of data. That is done. And in the third iteration, the count will increase, like index will become 1 lakh because 50 plus 50, it has as of now consumed 1 lakh KB. In next iteration, the begin index will be from 1 lakh, it has to fetch next 50,000 kilobytes. So this cycle will continue until we get the offset as -1 in the response. So I will discuss in detail how these values will come in the response. So we will be consuming this report in our WSS SOAP web service. I am making use of SOAP UI over here in order to test this report. I will be providing the absolute path. In your case, if you are having parameters, you can mention the parameters as well. Then coming to the size of data chunk, usually we will be writing -1. This time we have to write 0 and click on send. You have got the response. Let me just drag this over here. If you closely observe, this time we are not getting the report bytes in the response. Rather, we will be getting one file ID, that is report file ID. So this is the thing, but it is the UCM file ID or the path. Let me just copy this from here. If you closely observe, we had made use of run report operation within this SOAP web service. Next, we have to find this operation, that is download report data chunk. Just make a request for this. So in this API or in the SOAP request or in the body, it is asking file ID. The report file ID, what we get from here in the response, that we have to paste it over here in the request, that is file ID. Begin index, as we are fetching this report data for the first time, we will tell index should be 0. That is starting from 0, it has to fetch next 50,000 kilobytes of data. Let me click on send. It has returned the response. If you see closely over here, it has provided the base 64 data that is in the report data chunk. Let me just copy this from here. I will create 2 tabs over here in my notepad. First, what I will do is I will remove the tags over here and just I will keep the base 64 content. Let me remove everything, just the base 64 I am interested in. I will select, and what I will do is I will convert this to base 64. Sorry, I will decode this base 64 content. If you see, I am getting organization and the effective start date, and this is the data. So it has fetched in 50,000 KB almost 1089 records. So if you see, there is truncated, so this value it will come in next iteration. While calling this again, we have to see what is the offset this response has returned. It is saying 50,000 is the next offset. So we have to copy this from the response and we have to provide it in the request, that is begin index. This time will be the offset value what we get in the response in the first call. Let me click on send again. You have got the response. This time it is saying that the offset is 1 lakh. So let me just copy this from here and I will paste it over here. I will remove the tag and I will remove this tag. What I will do is I will base 64 decode. I will copy everything and I will paste it over here. So the data what it was missing in the last run, that is we had seen it had not provided this date, it was missing. So it has provided in the second iteration the next value. Similarly, the leftover value what you see over here in this case, in this row, if you see, we are not getting this value. So it will come in the next iteration. So I will go for the next iteration over here. This time offset is 1 lakh. We have to provide it as begin index as 1 lakh. Click on send. And we have got the response. Next, we are getting the offset value as 1,50,000. I will provide it over here. It will fetch next 1,50,000 KB of data. So next offset it has told like it is 2 lakhs. I will provide it over here and click on run. Go to XML. Now if you see, it has sent report data offset as -1. So when it is saying -1, we have to stop. It means report data has been successfully fetched from the UCM. So whenever we see -1, it is the end of the iteration or the loop. So like this, it has returned all the data from the UCM, that is reading the file in a chunk or in a bits and pieces. So this is the concept behind how to read the BIP report data in the chunk. So we have studied how we can read the BIP report data in chunk using the SOAP UI. Similarly, we have to do or build a integration which can automate the same approach what we just now saw with the help of SOAP UI. It's just a automation we have to build with the help of integration. I have already created this integration. I will first of all give the demo of this integration by running or creating an instance of this integration. Later, I will show you step by step what are the actions I have used in this integration. Let me just run this. In the body, I'm just providing the report path. Click on run. So what it will do is, first of all, it will get the UCM file, that is by passing this report path and the data chunk as 0. and it will get the UCM file, that is by running this run report operation. Next, it will call download report data chunk in iteration, what we had seen manually in the SOAP-UI calls. Similar like that, it will do in the integration as well. So I'm getting the success message. Let me just refresh. If you see over here, it has made 5 iterations. We also had done 5 iterations with the 50,000 kilobytes of data. So one by one, it has called the download chunk BIP report operation, and it has got all the data. So what I had done is I had appended the response into a variable. So that I'm logging it over here. I will show you the response. Let me just download. I will download it. Done. Let me just open with the help of VS Code. If you see, I am getting the organization and start date CSV data. So almost all the data what is available in the Fusion or in the BIP report response, I got one by one using the chunks. So this integration has done exactly the same what we had followed while testing the SOAP web service. Now let me walk you through this integration. This is a very simple integration I have exposed over a REST protocol. I'm just passing the report path in the request. I have created 3 variables or declared 3 variables, that is index, data chunk size and the file data. In data chunk size, I am mentioning what is the size of the data I will be pulling from the BIP report using the data chunk operation. File data is the one where I will be appending one by one the response what I am getting in the report data chunk in this response. So those are the 3 variables I have created. Next is I am calling this BIP report, that is the run report operation over here. This is the first step. Next, coming to the mapping. So the mappings are exactly same what I have shown you in the SOAP-UI. Let me quickly go through the code view and show you. If you see, I'm just providing the path what I get in the request while running this integration. Even you can make use of the scheduled integrations. No need to have a synchronous integration wherein there will be request and the response. Rather, you can schedule such kind of integrations. And the data chunk size is 0. This is how to make sure size of data chunk download should be 0, not -1. This is the most important thing. And in the response, we will be getting the file ID. Here in the while loop, what I'm doing is I'm just checking the response from this operation, that is the download data chunk. I'm just seeing the index is -1. So index value I'm assigning to this report data offset, that is -1. So we had initialized this value, that is the index, to 0 over here. But in every iteration, the response what we get from the report data offset, that I'm mapping to index. So within the while loop, I am calling this data chunk operation from the same SOAP web service, that is download report data chunk. Coming to the mapping over here, so I'm passing the file ID what I get from the initial run report response, that is over here. Begin index, that I'm passing the value from my local variable, that is v index, which I have shown, that which I have created initially. Then data chunk size is a fixed value. Again, this is a variable I had created which I'm passing to the size field. That's it with this call. Let me just come back. So what the response we are getting from this BIP, what I'm doing is report data offset like -1, and what is the next offset value, that I'm mapping it to index, and the same index is stopping over here the while loop when it is saying it is equal to -1. File data, what I'm doing is I am concatenating the previous file data and I'm adding the decoded base 64 data what I'm getting in this response. So in this field, that is report data chunk, when we call this BIP data chunk operation, we will be getting in a base 64. We have to decode and we have to append with the previous file data. So like that, we can append every iteration, and at the end, we will be getting the entire file data in this variable. So the same I had logged over here under the logger. So like this, we can read the BIP report data in chunk using Oracle integration. Here is the second method of creating this integration, which can handle or create the larger files. That is by storing the BIP report data into the file instead of the variable. In the method 1, what we had done is we had created this assign. In that, we had created the file data to which we were appending the data, whatever we were getting the response from this BIP response data chunk. But in this case, what we will do is the report data chunk, whatever we are getting, we are changing the file. And here, if I show you the wizard over here, I have made use of the write file operation and I am writing this test.csv file. Just make sure you append the file because we will be getting the data from the BIP response in a data chunk, that is one by one. So what we have to do is we have to get the chunk data from the BIP and we have to append every time. Stage file action, write file operation, append file, and we have to select OPEX schema over here. OPEX schema is nothing but it is this schema. You can easily find this in the Oracle documentation. Just if you search OPEX schema XSD, you will get this. Just you have to upload it over here. That's it with this stage file. Coming to the mapping over here. If you look at the mapping over here, the response report data chunk, whatever we are getting, we are straight away mapping it to the OPEX schema element. We are not doing any decode encode. As we are already getting base 64 data in the report data chunk element, we are mapping it to over here. That is the only mapping we have for this stage file write action. That's it with this integration. That is the only change. Instead of writing to the variable, that is appending every time. This is the very good method. So like this, the file will be appended every time and it will be stored in the Oracle Integration runtime virtual directory or the file server. So it is having its own advantages, like you can have a larger files like up to 1 GB and you can read that data. And if like in this case BIP response or the BIP report, I'm getting CSV data. Next I can again stage a file and read that file in segments. So once all the data chunk has been written into the file action, so in this assign activity, it is doing nothing. It is just adding the offset to the index. File data, we are appending directly into the file using the stage action. So in order to demonstrate that after adding all the data into this stage file, we are reading the same file. So this I have added just to show you how we can get the data after writing or appending every time in the iteration. So here, as in my case, my data is very small, so I'm reading the entire file. Suppose you are getting the huge data, then you can read the file data in segments. So you can also refer this with the file reference, or you can provide the name and the directory, that is a local directory path, what you have added over here. Coming to the CSV, here you have to give the actual data, what you are expecting from the data model or the report. So in our case, we will be getting the data in this CSV format from our report. So I have uploaded it over here. So that's it with this integration. So using this method to approach, you can create a dynamic integration which can read the data from the BIP, that is a huge data, in a chunks, and write to the file in a chunks, and then we can read the file in a go, in one go, or we can read it in a segments if it is a CSV data. Now let me show you the demonstration. I will test this and show you how the data will look in runtime. I will provide the path of my report. Click on run. So what it will do is it will first run the report and it will get the UCM file ID. Then it will call the BIP report read data in chunks one by one, and it will write into the stage file action in a chunk, and then at the end it will read the data. It has read the data over here after writing 5 iterations. Let me just click on this. Click on download. As you know, when we read any CSV data using the stage file action, integration will read it as a XML file. So it will transform the CSV to the XML, that is putting the tags, and then it will show. So this file will be showing the same. Let me just open. So here if you see, it has read all the data what we had sent over here. Suppose if I just query over here, so we are having 5387. So these are the records available in our Fusion instance for this particular SQL query which we have used in the data model. So using this approach, we can write the huge data. So whatever is the limit for your file server, or at the runtime, each instance can access in the file server in Oracle integration like 1 GB or 2 GB or 5 GB, whatever is the use case. Normally it will be 1 GB. So you can write the file like this and you can read or you can send the same file to third-party applications as well.